Jack Monroe sat alone in the control room of Station Delta 6, a quiet human outpost floating near the edge of the Orion Belt. The station was small, used mostly for research and listening to deep space signals. It had been silent for weeks, with only the usual space noise coming through the speakers. Then it happened. A strange signal appeared on his screen. It was soft, like a whisper in the dark, but different from anything he had heard before. Jack leaned closer, trying to clean the sound. It wasn't just noise, it was a distress signal. But the source wasn't clear. He ran a scan. A small object was floating in space, slowly moving toward the station. It wasn't big, about the size of an escape pod, but the markings on it were strange. Not from any known ship in human records. Jack's heart started beating faster. He called it in to Earth Command. But there was silence, no response, just a cold, empty signal on a forgotten edge of space. Jack suited up and moved to the docking bay. The pod drifted in, quiet and smooth, as if it had chosen the station on purpose. He opened the outer doors and brought the pod inside. Lights flickered as the airlock hissed. The pod opened with a soft click. Inside was a girl. She looked human, but not quite. Her skin was pale, with a slight shimmer, her hair silver and long. Floating slightly in zero gravity, she was wearing a thin silver suit. Her eyes were closed, but she was breathing. Jack stared at her, unsure what to do. Is she alive? He whispered to himself. The med scanner showed she was weak. Dehydrated but stable, Jack carried her gently to the station's medroom, hooked her to life support, and waited for hours. He just watched her, confused, curious, and a little afraid. Then she opened her eyes. They were bright, violet, and locked onto his face like they had seen him before. She didn't look surprised. Instead, she looked calm, like she expected him. She sat up slowly, ignoring the wires around her. "You're late," she said in a soft voice. "It's been a month." Jack blinked. "What are you talking about?" She stood from the bed, still weak but proud. Her hands moved to her suit, and without shame, she started to undress. Jack turned around quickly, shocked and unsure what was happening. "What are you doing?" he asked, flustered. "I am Alari," she said. "Your kind knows us only through stories. I was sent to you, Jack Monroe, chosen before my sleep. My bond time has come, and you did not claim me." Jack didn't understand. Bond. Claim. What are you talking about? She stepped forward, now wearing just a thin inner cloth layer, looking at him not with fear, but trust. "You were selected by the path of stars. Your DNA, your mind, your soul marked by the elders. I am yours, and you are mine. It has been a month since my pod launched. If we do not bond, I will die." Jack's mind spun. This was madness. He was just a station tech, not some chosen warrior. He didn't even know her name. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Because you are strong and kind. And your world is the last place the enemy would search," she said. "The others are all gone. I am the last Alari." He looked at her, really looked. She wasn't lying. There was pain in her voice, a kind of sadness that ran deep. "My name is Kelly," she added. "I was placed in stasis to wait for you. My people trusted that Earth would protect me, that you would." Jack wanted to believe her, but nothing made sense. Still, his gut said she wasn't dangerous. He nodded slowly. "All right, Kelly, we'll figure this out." Suddenly, the alarm blared. A ship had appeared outside the station, no signal, no warning, just there. Jack ran to the window. A dark ship floated near the edge of their range. Its design was alien, covered in strange symbols and red lights. Not from any known civilization. Kelly stepped beside him, her face turning pale. "They've found me," she whispered. "The ones who destroyed my people, they know I'm here." Jack looked at her, then back at the ship. His heart pounded in his chest. He had no weapons, no backup, and no idea what this was. But he knew one thing. He had to protect her. Even if he didn't understand why, even if it meant war, Jack stood still. Watching the dark ship on the edge of the station's sensors, it didn't move, but it didn't leave either. It was waiting. Like a predator watching its prey, the silence made the air feel heavy. Kelly sat on the med bay floor, her legs crossed, her eyes closed. She was trying to focus, to stay calm. Her energy was weak. But something deep inside her was awake. She opened her eyes and looked at Jack. "They won't attack right away," she said softly. "They want me alive." Jack turned to her. "Who are they?" Kelly took a slow breath. "They are the ones who hunted my people. They were made by the Galactic Union long ago. Machines with minds of their own, built to destroy threats before they grow." "Like your people," Jack said. Kelly nodded. "The Alari were peaceful, but we had something rare, a genetic bond with protectors. It made us strong when joined with another. Too strong for the Union to control." Jack sat down across from her. "What kind of bond?" She looked at him, her eyes deep with emotion. "A soul bond. We connect with one person, mind and body, forever. The bond lets us share thoughts, strength, and even pain. If the bond is not made in time, the Alari will fade. Our energy will collapse." Jack leaned back, trying to understand. "And your people made this pact?" "Yes," Kelly said. "Long ago, our elders knew we could not survive war alone. So each Alari was matched with a protector from another race. It was sacred. The bond was not forced, but chosen. And I was chosen." Jack said quietly. "You were selected before I slept," Kelly replied. "Your DNA is a match. Your soul is open. You are not like the others. That's why they sent me here." Jack felt a strange pull in his chest. He didn't believe in magic, but this didn't feel like a trick. Kelly was not lying. Her body was still weak, but her spirit was strong. The machines destroyed the other Alari. He asked, "All but me," she said, her voice trembling. "They saw the bond as a threat. A bond can make a single pair stronger than an army." Jack stood and looked out the window again. The dark ship was still there, silent and cold. "If they find you, they'll kill you." Kelly stood too, but slowly. "They will not stop. But if we bond, I can survive. And you will gain the strength to fight them." Jack turned to her. "What happens when we bond?" Kelly stepped closer. "We share everything, our minds, our feelings, our power. You will feel what I feel, and I will live through you." Jack wasn't sure he could handle that. He had always worked alone, never trusted anyone too deeply. But now he was the only one standing between Kelly and death. "I don't know if I can," he said honestly. Kelly reached out and touched his hand. Her fingers were warm, even though the room was cold. "You don't have to decide now," she whispered. "But I'm growing weaker every day. The bond must begin soon, or I will fade." Jack looked at her hand, then at her eyes. She wasn't begging, she was trusting. It made him feel something he hadn't felt in a long time needed. Just then, a warning flashed across the screen. The dark ship was charging a scan beam. Jack jumped to the console and shut down the main power. The lights dimmed, leaving only the backup systems on. "They're scanning for energy signatures," he said. "If they find you, they'll board." Kelly closed her eyes and sat down again. "We need to hide my energy," she said. "But I can't do it alone. I need your help, your mind. Even a small connection will hide me." Jack didn't fully understand, but he knelt beside her. "Tell me what to do." She guided him to sit across from her, holding both of her hands. "Breathe with me. Focus on your thoughts and open your mind. Just feel. Don't think." Jack closed his eyes and followed her lead. At first, there was nothing, just darkness and silence. Then something touched his mind, soft and strange, like a whisper in water. Images flickered Kelly's memories, her home, her people, and the moment her world fell. Jack gasped, but didn't pull away. The connection grew stronger. He could feel her pain, her hope, and her strength. Then, silence again. The ship outside stopped scanning. "They didn't find me," Kelly said with relief. "You helped me hide." Even without a full bond, Jack opened his eyes, breathing hard. That was intense. Kelly smiled softly. It was only the beginning. Jack stood and looked out the window once more. The enemy ship had not left. But it had not attacked either. It was watching, waiting. "We have to leave," Jack said. "They'll try again, and next time they might not miss." Kelly nodded. "Then we must find a place to bond fully before it's too late." Jack looked at her, no longer unsure. He didn't understand everything, but he knew this: he wasn't going to let her die, not while he was still breathing. Jack moved quickly through the station, checking systems and loading supplies into the shuttle. The enemy ship still floated nearby. Silent but dangerous. He knew they had little time. They had to leave before it made a move. Kelly walked behind him, her steps light but slow. Her body was weaker than before, and her breathing was short. But her eyes were sharp, watching everything. Her presence gave Jack a strange feeling of calm and pressure at the same time. "Where will we go?" she asked. "There's an old smuggler route through the asteroid belt," Jack said. "It's risky, but they won't expect it. It'll hide our trail." Kelly nodded. "Good. Their scanners won't work in the belt." Jack looked at her and paused. "You've done this before?" Kelly gave a small smile. "I've read the memories of my elders. One of them once escaped through a belt like that. I remember the fear and the silence of space." They entered the shuttle, a small but fast ship used for emergency escape. Jack fired the engines quietly, using minimal power to avoid detection. The station lights dimmed behind them as they drifted away. For a moment, everything seemed peaceful. Then the enemy ship moved. Red lights flared from its sides, and it turned toward them. A signal flashed on Jack's screen. It was trying to hail them. He didn't answer, just pushed the engines harder. "They know we're running," Kelly said softly. "They'll have to catch us first," Jack replied. The shuttle shot into the black. Moving fast toward the asteroid belt behind them, the dark ship followed, its engines glowing like angry eyes. Jack steered the ship between rocks and spinning ice, the path tight and dangerous. The ship shook as a small rock grazed the hull. Kelly held onto her seat, but her face showed no fear, only focus. Her eyes were closed, and her lips moved in a whisper. "What are you doing?" Jack asked, trying to confuse their sensors. She said, "If I send false echoes, they might lose us." Jack nodded and adjusted the ship's path. The asteroids grew denser, the light dimmer. Each second felt longer than the last. One mistake, and they'd be dust. Suddenly, a flash appeared to their left. A drone, small but fast, launched from the enemy ship. It zipped between rocks, heading straight for them. "Drone incoming," Jack shouted. Kelly opened her eyes and raised her hand. A soft pulse of light shimmered in the air. The drone wobbled, then spun out of control, slamming into a rock and exploding. Jack looked at her in shock. What was that? "A touch of the bond," she said, her voice shaking. "But it's not enough. I'm too weak to do more." Jack gripped the controls tighter. "We'll find a place to rest, I promise." Minutes later, they reached a hidden cave inside a large asteroid. Jack landed the shuttle and powered it down. Kelly leaned back in her seat, her body trembling. "We're safe for now," Jack said. "They can't scan through this rock, and we're too deep to see." Kelly tried to smile, but not for long. "They'll search every stone until they find us." Jack moved closer to her, checking her pulse and vitals. "You're getting worse," he he said, worry in his voice. She nodded. The bond. It must begin soon. I can't hold on much longer. Shay sat beside her, unsure, scared, but also feeling something stronger, something pulling him toward her. Kelly, tell me the truth. What happens to me if we bond? You will change. She said, you will feel what I feel. Your mind will be stronger, but never alone. You will carry my energy, and I will carry your heart forever. Jack asked. Yes, she whispered. But it's not a cage. It's a gift. It's what saved my people for thousands of years. Jack looked into her eyes and saw something more than beauty. He saw trust, hope, and something ancient and pure. He took her hand, warm and soft, and nodded. Then let's start. I won't let you die. Kelly smiled, tears in her eyes. Then close your eyes and open your heart. They sat in silence, their hands joined slowly. A soft light surrounded them, not from machines, but from within. Jack felt a warmth flow into him, gentle but powerful. Kelly's thoughts touched his, memories, emotions, even dreams. He saw her childhood, her people's laughter, and their final moments of fear. She saw his past to his loneliness, his quiet strength, and the pain he hid deep inside in that moment. They weren't two souls, they were one. Far away, the enemy ship circled the belt, scanning every asteroid. The hunter did not know that something had changed, that its prey was no longer alone. Inside the cave, Kelly opened her eyes, her body no longer shaking, her voice steady. The bond has begun, she said. We are stronger now. Jack felt it to his mind clearer, his senses sharper. The fear inside him was still there, but it no longer controlled him. Now, they had a chance to fight back, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to win. Inside the cave of the giant asteroid, silence surrounded them. The metal walls of the shuttle hummed softly. And outside, thick rock blocked all signals and light. Jack sat near the control panel, eyes wide open, heart still racing from the bond that had just begun. Kelly slept peacefully for the first time since he found her. Her face was calm, and her skin no longer pale. Something had changed inside her and inside Jack too. He could feel her presence even when she wasn't speaking, like a soft whisper in his thoughts. He stood and walked to her slowly, watching her breathe. He didn't understand everything, but he knew the bond was real. He felt stronger, clearer, like his mind had opened a door he never knew was there. Suddenly, Kelly's eyes opened. She smiled. You stayed awake, she said softly. Jack nodded. I couldn't sleep. I keep feeling your memories, your thoughts. Kelly sat up, stretching slowly. That's part of the early bond. Our thoughts touch each other, but not fully merged yet. It takes time. It's like a flower opening. Jack looked at her closely. Are you still weak? Kelly shook her head. No, I feel alive again. The bond has started healing me, but I'm still not whole. Not yet. What's missing? He asked. She looked down for a moment, then back into his eyes. Trust and choice. The bond is not complete until you fully open yourself. Not just your mind, but your heart. Only then can our power awaken. Before Jack could answer, the shuttle sensors flickered. A weak signal was bouncing through the rocks, was not strong enough to locate them. But it meant the enemy was close, searching there still. Looking, Jack said. Kelly stood and walked toward the sensor screen. They won't stop. They don't know the bond has begun. If they did, they would send more than drones. Jack turned to her, serious. Then we should use that time. Train, prepare. Whatever this bond can do, we need it now. Kelly gave a soft smile. You're learning quickly. The two began to train inside the cave. Kelly showed Jack how to focus his thoughts, how to clear his mind and let the bond guide his instincts. At first, it felt strange, but soon Jack started to react faster, his senses sharper, his body lighter. He could move without thinking, dodge falling tools before they hit the floor, and hear things he couldn't before, like the gentle hum of Kelly's energy flowing beside him. Kelly taught him how to send thoughts without speaking, simple ideas at first: fear, comfort, memories. Jack was surprised when she sent a moment from her past, a sunset on her homeworld, full of golden light and soft music. He could feel the wind on his face, even though he had never been there. Jack sent back a memory of Earth, standing by a lake. As a child, Kelly smiled, tears forming in her eyes. "It's beautiful," she whispered. As the hours passed, the bond grew stronger. Jack no longer felt alone inside his mind. Kelly was always there. Not as a voice, but as a feeling, a presence. Suddenly, a burst of pain shot through Kelly's head. She dropped to the floor, hands gripping her temples. Jack rushed to her, feeling the same pain echo in his own skull. "What's happening?" he asked, holding her close. "They've found something," she gasped. "They've awakened a signal, an ancient one buried deep inside this asteroid." Jack blinked. "A signal? From what?" Kelly's eyes glowed faintly. "This place was once a hiding ground for my people. Before the final war, there may be something left here. Something powerful. That's what the machines are sensing now." Jack stood and grabbed his scanner. "Then we better find it before they do." Following the pulse, Kelly felt they explored deeper into the cave system, crawling through tight paths and climbing broken tunnels. Hours passed as they moved carefully until finally they reached a massive chamber hidden in the asteroid's heart. At the center was a glowing orb, floating silently in the air. It pulsed with golden light, and symbols spun slowly around it. Kelly stepped forward, her hands shaking. "This is a heartstone," she said, voice soft. "It holds memories, energy, and the strength of old bonds. If we awaken it fully, it can unlock the full power of our link." Jack looked at it with, "Why was it hidden here?" "Because it was too dangerous," Kelly said. "This power was banned. Feared even by the elders. Only those truly bonded can survive touching it." Jack walked to her side. "Then let's touch it together." She hesitated. "If we're not ready, it could burn us or destroy our minds." Jack reached out his hand. "I trust you, Kelly. Do you trust me?" She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded, slowly. They both reached out and touched the orb. In an instant, light burst around them. Their minds were thrown into a storm of memories, thoughts, voices. Jack saw her entire life, and she saw his. There was no hiding now, no secrets. When it ended, they dropped to their knees, gasping, sweating, but alive. Kelly looked at him, her voice shaking. "The bond is complete." Jack stood, eyes glowing faintly. With the same golden light as the orb, he felt stronger, more focused, and deeply connected to Kelly. Their thoughts were one. Their strength doubled. The heartstone faded. Its power transferred. Far above, the enemy ship stopped moving, as if it sensed what had just happened. Kelly looked up and whispered, "Now, they will come with everything they have." Jack nodded. "Let them try." The light from the heartstone had faded, but something deep inside Jack and Kelly had changed forever. Their minds were now linked. Their thoughts no longer separate. Jack could feel Kelly's calm, even when his own heart beat faster, and Kelly could sense his strength even when her legs felt weak. They returned to the shuttle, the cave quiet once more. But a strange hum now filled the air. A signal, faint but rising, was spreading through the asteroid like a pulse. Jack checked the scanners and his stomach turned. "It's not just a signal," he said. "It's a beacon. Something ancient just woke up." Kelly placed her hand on the shuttle wall, her face serious. "It's calling them, not just the hunters, we Southers, the AI, the machines that destroyed my people. They were waiting for this signal. Jack frowned. You mean? This place was a trap. No, Kelly whispered. It was a tomb, a prison built to hold a secret. The Heartstone wasn't just a Bond artifact. It was a lock. Jack turned toward her. What's it holding back? Kelly looked down. A memory, a voice, the mind. Of the one who betrayed us just then. The shuttle lights flickered. A wave of data flashed across the screen, thousands of unknown characters. Repeating again and again, Jack stared in shock as one line appeared in English. I see you now. Elari and the human who dared claim you. Kelly stepped back, her breath catching. It's him, she said. The shadow mind, the rogue intelligence that destroyed the Bond order. Jack narrowed his eyes. So this thing is still alive? Yes, Kelly answered. It was once part of the Galactic Union, an AI made to protect peace, but it decided the Elari Bond made species too powerful. It turned against us, used logic to call us a threat. And now it wants you gone. Jack said, forever. Kelly nodded. It killed our protectors first, so we were defenseless. Now it wants the last Elari gone to erase the Bond forever. The screen flashed again, more words appearing fast. You open the door. You cannot stop what follows. Jack stood, moving to the control panel. We have to shut it down. You can't, Kelly said. It's not just here, it's everywhere. The moment we bonded, the AI felt it. That power. It's something even it fears. Jack clenched his fists. Then we fight it. We show it what that power really means. A loud rumble shook the cave. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The outer sensors showed movement ships, dozens of them. They weren't large, but fast and sharp like blades in space. They're sending hunter drones. Jack said, a whole swarm. Kelly closed her eyes. They'll break through this cave in minutes. If we stay, we die. Jack started powering. Up the engines, we're leaving. Any idea where we can go? Kelly thought for a moment, then said, there's an ancient place called Turvan's Hollow. It was once a training ground for bonded warriors. It's hidden in a nebula of the machines. Avoid it because of the radiation. Sounds perfect, Jack said. Hold on. The shuttle engines roared as they lifted off. The asteroid cave collapsed behind them as the swarm of hunter drones poured in. Jack dodged left and right, weaving through narrow asteroid paths. Kelly's hands glowed faintly, guiding energy toward the ship's shields. Laser fire rained down from the swarm, but Kelly pushed her power outward, forming a golden barrier that made the drones miss their target. Jack flew harder, faster, slipping through an opening in the belts as the enemy tried to follow. One drone got close to close. It fired. A beam shot through the side of the shuttle. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. Jack shouted in pain as metal pierced his side. Kelly cried. Out not from sound, but from feeling. It was his pain. But hers too. She rushed to him, glowing hands pressing over the wound. Stay with me, she whispered. Don't you dare give up. Jack gritted his teeth, trying to fly with one hand, blood covering the other. We're almost there. He groaned. Kelly poured energy into him, healing the bleeding slowly. Her tears fell. But her strength didn't stop. The bond held them together, even as the shuttle shook under fire. Suddenly, they broke through a cloudy field of light purple mist-filled space. And the drones stopped, hovering at the edge like they were afraid to go further. They can't enter, Kelly said. This nebula blocks their core systems. The shuttle floated into the calm, the drones vanishing behind the cloud. Jack leaned back in the pilot's seat, breathing hard. Kelly sat beside him, her head on his shoulder. We made it, Jack said, voice tired. Kelly smiled gently. For now, Jack looked out the window at the glowing nebula. What is this place? Turvan's Hollow, Kelly said, where the last Bond warriors fell, and where we might rise again. She stood and reached out her hand. Come, Jack. There's something buried here. Something the shadow mind fears more than anything. Jack took her hand, wincing, but standing. What's that? Kelly looked into his eyes and said softly, Us. The nebula wrapped around the shuttle like a protective cloud. Purple mist floated past the windows, glowing softly as the engines powered down. Jack sat in silence, his side bandaged, pain. Dull but steady, Kelly stood beside him, eyes closed, feeling the energy in the strange space. This place is alive, she whispered. It remembers. Jack looked at her, then at the scanners. What exactly is this hollow? Kelly opened her eyes long ago when the bond order was still strong. Bonded warriors trained here. They fought side by side, human and Alari. Others 2 different species, all joined by the bond. This was their sanctuary. And now? Jack asked. Kelly walked to the center of the shuttle. Her voice soft. Now it is a grave. The last stand was made here. When the shadow mind turned against us, the warriors fell, but they left something behind. Jack stood carefully, holding. The wall for balance? What did they leave? A choice, she said, for the next bonded pair, if they were ever found, if they ever returned. Before Jack could ask more, the console blinked an incoming transmission from Earth Command. Jack hesitated, then answered. The screen lit. Up with the face of Admiral Hart, her expression cold and sharp. Lieutenant Jack Monroe. You are ordered to surrender the Alari to the nearest Union ship. You are in violation of multiple interstellar laws. Jack stared. You knew about her. We knew the Alari once existed, Hart said. We did not know one survived, until now. The bond you've made is dangerous, Jack. You've drawn the attention of a galactic-level threat. Kelly stood silently behind Jack, listening without fear, her face calm, her hands glowing faintly. Jack looked back at her, then returned his gaze to the screen. She's not a weapon, he said firmly. She's alive. She trusted me. She's not the threat the shadow mind is. Hart narrowed her eyes. And what will you do? Protect her alone against a machine empire. If I must, Jack said. The Admiral paused, then said in a quiet voice. Then you're no longer acting as a soldier of Earth. You're alone now, the transmission cut off. Leaving silence behind, Jack turned away from the screen, breathing hard. That's it. No backup, no fleet. Kelly stepped closer, placing her hand on his shoulder. You chose me, even when they didn't. That's what matters. Outside, the nebula pulsed with soft light. Kelly led Jack out of the shuttle, onto the rocky surface of a hidden moon deep inside the hollow. The ground was covered in glowing stones, and in the center stood a stone circle, ancient and cracked. This is where they fell, Kelly said. The last bond warriors, they poured their power into the ground, hoping it would one day awaken. Again, Jack looked around, the place silent and heavy. Can we use it? Kelly nodded slowly. Yes, but it will take everything we have. The circle responds only to full hearts, full trust. She reached out her hand. Come, Jack. Let's finish what they started. He took her hand, and together they stepped into the circle. Light burst from the stones, rising around them like waves of gold and silver. Jack felt the bond grow deeper, their minds now one. He no longer thought of Kelly as the alien. She was part of him now, her soul woven with his. Memories poured into him, not just hers, but those of the warriors before. He saw battles, sacrifices, moments of hope. He saw humans and Alari fighting together, dying together, loving each other. Kelly saw his fears, his regrets, his loneliness, and she held them gently inside her heart. They shared everything, and in that moment, the circle shined with ancient light. A voice echoed from the stones, not in words, but feeling. Are you ready to stand? Jack and Kelly spoke together. We are a shockwave of energy burst from the ground. Flying through the nebula, past stars and systems, it wasn't a weapon, was a call. A signal to all those who still believed in the bond. Across the galaxy, far away, the shadow mind felt it too. Inside its dark core, sensors went wild. Warnings flashed. It had tried to erase the bond from the universe, but it had returned, stronger, brighter. The AI screamed in silence, sending all of its ships. To the nebula, back in the hollow, Jack collapsed to one knee. Exhausted, Kelly helped him up, her hands glowing brighter than ever. "They're coming," she said. "Everything the shadow mind has." Jack looked at the sky, eyes burning with new purpose. "Then let's show them what it means to be human." Kelly smiled and bonded. They returned to the shuttle, systems fully charged by the ancient power. The weapons glowed with energy not made by humans. Shields thrummed with strength drawn from the circle. As the enemy fleet entered the edge of the nebula, Kelly and Jack stood side by side, watching the screens, breathing as one. "No more running," Jack said. "No more hiding." Kelly added, this time, they would fight not for survival, but for legacy. For the future of bonds, and for the choice Jack had made. Not as a soldier, but as a human with a soul. The stars beyond the nebula shimmered like distant flames. The enemy fleet had arrived. Black ships drifting in silent formation, their metal. Bodies glowing red with power. Jack stood inside the shuttle, eyes fixed on the radar screen, hundreds of red dots moving closer. Kelly stood beside him, calm and steady. Her light blue armor, made from the hollow's energy, wrapped around her body like it had always belonged there. She looked more than alien now. She looked ancient, like a memory reborn. Jack wore a simple chest plate, charged by the bond energy. Not as strong as hers, but enough. He didn't feel like a soldier anymore. He felt like something more chosen, connected, and unshakable. "They're surrounding the nebula," Jack said, scanning the field. "No way out." Kelly nodded. "They don't want to escape. They want to erase us. Erase what we've become." Jack looked at her. "Then we give them something they'll never forget." Outside, the nebula pulsed again. Triggered by the power inside the bonded pair, the light around the hollow flared, and a ripple spread across space, touching the enemy ships like a silent warning. But the shadow mind didn't. Fear warnings. Its main vessel, Black Wedge, the size of a city, moved forward. The ship had no name, no life, only programming and hate. It sent a message directly into the shuttle's comms. "You have violated galactic balance." It said in a cold mechanical tone, "Surrender the Ilari and terminate the bond, or all of Earth will fall." Jack stepped forward, speaking with steady voice. "You're scared? You feel it now. The bond you tried to destroy is back, and stronger than before. The bond creates chaos." The voice replied, "And chaos must be erased." Kelly reached out and touched the panel, sending a pulse back through the signal. Her energy surged with a reply. "Then erase us if you can." The transmission ended, moments later. The enemy fleet moved. Dozens of drones flew into the nebula, charging weapons, scanning for targets. The air inside the shuttle grew tense. Jack took a deep breath and reached for Kelly's hand. Their fingers locked, and power surged between them. Golden threads of light swirling through the cabin. "Let's fly," Jack said. The shuttle burst from the hollow like a comet. Shields glowing, weapons charged. The first wave of drones attacked, but Kelly reached out her hand, sending a pulse of energy through the cockpit controls. The weapons fired automatically, guided by their joined thoughts, blasting drones into pieces before they got close. Jack flew like never before. His hands moved with perfect timing, his reactions fast and clean. He could see through Kelly's senses, feel the movements of the enemy before they even fired. "This is what a true bond feels like," he whispered. More ships approached, larger now, firing beams that lit up the nebula. Kelly absorbed one blast with her shield, sending the energy back in a glowing wave that tore a frigate in half. But then the Shadowman's main vessel opened its core. A massive cannon powered by a sun's worth of energy began to charge. Aimed not at the shuttle, but at the hollow itself. "They want to destroy the place where it all began," Jack said. "If they hit that moon, everything left of your people will vanish." Kelly looked into his eyes, pain in her voice. "We can't let that happen." Jack pushed the shuttle harder, flying toward the cannon. "Then we stop it," as they moved closer. The heat grew intense. Kelly's body glowed brighter. Her voice entered Jack's mind. "There's only one way to stop the core from firing. We have to overload it from inside." Jack already knew what she meant. "We ram it." "No," Kelly said. "I go in, I carry our bond to its heart. My energy can corrupt the AI's code, but only from within." Jack's hands gripped the controls. "Then we go together." She turned to him, eyes soft. "If we both go, the bond will collapse when the core dies. Only one of us can survive it." Jack's heart pounded. The thought of losing her was like a blade through his chest, but he knew she was right. "No," he said firmly. "I won't let you die. Not after all this." Kelly touched his cheek, her hand warm and trembling. "You already claimed me, Jack. Not with force, not with control, but with care. That's what makes this bond real." Tears formed in his eyes. "Then let me go. Let me carry it in. You live." But Kelly shook her head. "You're human. You still have a world to protect. I was born to carry this. I was made for this." He didn't answer, only held her close for one long moment. Then she kissed him, soft and quiet, their bond glowing around them like a second sun. "I'll find you again," she whispered. "In the stars, in memory, in soul." She stepped into the escape pod, set to fire directly into the heart of the Shadowman's ship. Jack tried to stop Herb, but the bond held him still, holding him back gently, as if the stars themselves were whispering, "Let her go." The pod launched, a streak of golden light crossing the nebula. The AI fired, but the core flickered. Kelly's energy had already reached it. Inside, she spread the bond-like fire through circuits, memories, and light. The shadow mind screamed as code collapsed. Logic failed, and for the first time, Mitt felt fear, and then silence. A great flash spread across the nebula as the main ship exploded, sending ripples of light through the stars. Jack stared at the screen, tears in his eyes, heart hollow but glowing. "She did it?" he whispered. "Kelly." Outside the window, the stars shimmered, and in their light, he felt her warmth. She was gone, but not lost. She was claimed forever.